I started the online business, and I've had over 500 successful client case studies. And the biggest thing that I'm proud of now is all the social proof I have. And by that, I mean I can, put my money where my mouth is, and I can show you in-depth before, middle, and after photos of clients. I'm a fan of doing, a lot of people do before and afters. I like to do at least one or two in the middle. If you don't have them, that's fine. But when you have someone for 9 months or a year, we want to track or when they make a huge transformation like Alyssa did, we want to show what was in the middle. We want to show you the step by step by step by step. It didn't happen overnight. The reason I put these two ladies here is both these girls were bikini competitors, and both these girls had a tiny little small frame, and they could lose fat pretty easily. This is another client, and she's a good example of somebody that is great for tonight's webinar. Let me actually back up real quick. Tonight's webinar is about cutting out fasted cardio and why it's bad. This girl in particular, this was a 1 month. Now this was probably 9 months, or this was probably 6 months apart. This was 1 month, and she lost 1.5 inches off her waist and like 2 pounds of body weight. Not a whole lot of weight, but really lost a good amount of fat. And we removed her fasted cardio, and we cut out probably 80% of her cardio. And she went from 1.5 hours in the gym to 40 minutes in the gym 3 days a week, just 3. And this is what her nutrition did for her by reducing her cardio. Now, getting back to this real quick, and I'll run through this, and you're not gonna believe this. In this first photo here, compared to the last, she was doing less cardio. She was probably doing 80% less cardio and was in the gym 60% less, but was eating more food. You're like, that's impossible. How is that possible? Well, you'll learn tonight. And now you might say, well, I don't want to be this thin, or that's not the point. The point is that this is what smart nutrition can do. And she's a lot healthier here, has more energy here, and you may not even want to be this thin, and that's fine. But the point is that this is what you can do with your body when you feed it correctly and don't overload cardio and do fasted cardio. These two ladies and this, by the way, these are two different women. This is not the same woman front and back, but both these women have genetically higher body fat set points. By that, what I mean is they're both would be classified under the somatotype of an endomorph. And an endomorph has higher estrogen levels, is more predisposed to higher body fat levels, and can actually build muscle easily. That's an endomorph. And the good thing about an endomorph is if they get down to 25, 26, 24% body fat, they can still look really good. Whereas the previous woman, I'm not going to scroll back, but someone that was really thin wouldn't look good at 24% body fat. If you're an endomorph and more of a stocky, higher body fat person, you don't have to get 15% body fat. You don't need to be 18%. You don't need to be 20% to look really good. You can look really good at about 25, 26%. And Tracy here is a good example of that. And this young lady here, she lost 22 pounds of fat in these photos. And, she looks good in a swimsuit. I know you can only see the back, but the point is, the point's probably better explained in these two photos. Same thing with these two women. Now, these women are older. The previous two women were in their 20s. These women here are 30s, and she's actually in her 50s, believe it or not. She's a grandmother, fibromyalgia, type 2 diabetes. But the point is, guys, is that both these women are what you call endomorphs. And at least one of them, both of them did, but one of them did a ton of early morning fasted cardio. We cut it out, give the right food, and the fat comes off. And we'll talk about that more as we go. But the key take-home point of this is if you happen to be one of these women that has this hyperthyroidism, hypothyroidism, Graves' disease, Hashimoto's, diabetes, type 2 diabetes, ulcerative colitis, anything, any hormone or digestive issue, don't let that scare you into thinking you have to be 15% body fat to be quote unquote hot. That's not true. I mean, Tracy here is probably 26% body fat and looks good. Okay, so anyway, with that being said, let's roll with it. Two more quick ones here. Both this shows two women, early 40s, both of them moms with 2 kids. The decrease in the kidney region, or love handle areas, we call it, in region. One was a competitor, so she's going to be leaner. But moving on towards this, I used to be someone who always thought that early morning fasted cardio was best for fat loss. I used to think that. But over the years, I witnessed firsthand with myself and hundreds of clients that performing fasted cardio does more harm than good. Now, don't be fooled into believing that fasted cardio will magically incinerate stubborn body fat just because you do it when you roll out of bed on an empty tummy. There's nothing magical about that. Fat loss isn't restricted to certain windows and isn't any more effective during certain times of the day or night. However, if performed fasted or next to a lifting session, it can and will do more harm than good. Don't believe the lie that you have to earn your breakfast by grinding through an hour-long spinning class. Lose that mentality that you are not allowed to let a single morsel of food pass through your lips until you clock in your 30-minute run. But yet and still, people still keep telling themselves that if you go a little longer, push a little harder, that your pre-breakfast cardio will finally start to pay off. Don't be a slave to fasted cardio. And that's why you need to know something. Eating the right meal will speed up your metabolism for the entire day more than any fasted cardio could. Blasting through a 6 a.m. HIIT, which stands for high intensity interval session, on a couple fat loss thermo pills might have you feeling like Rocky at the time, but it's going to create a huge caloric deficit the size of the Grand Canyon that's going to burn muscle and have you ravenously starving by 3 p.m. So that's when I realized two things. Number one, fasted cardio does more harm than good. And number two, you can't outrun your fork. But fasted cardio can ruin a good diet. Now, real quick, I'm going to minimize this, so don't panic. I'm going to minimize this, the slide, and I'm going to run a poll, so don't panic. I'm going to run a poll real quick. I'm going to run a poll for you guys. Don't panic. I'm still here. I'm going to run a poll for you guys, and I'm going to let you answer this question. So take a minute and look here. Are you starting to see how fasted cardio can throw you off course? Are you starting to see that? Take a minute, take a few seconds, and vote, and let me know. Get your votes in, get your votes in, get your votes in. Click over and let me know. And let me know which reason why. Yes, I get so hungry later in the day after I do it. 2, I don't think I deserve to eat until I do it. I have to earn my breakfast. Or 3, I don't understand why creating a big caloric deficit is so bad. So choose one. You can't go wrong. So, all right, we got 1 coming in, 2. So far, got 3 people saying that they're hungry later in the day. Get this in if you haven't voted yet. Good deal. We'll wrap that up. So jumping back over here, staying with me. We'll jump right back over here, and we'll get you back on here. We'll roll with this right back to the top. So I hope that helped. Now, problem number 1 is we'll go over creates a huge caloric deficit while already in a catabolic state. So when you wake up in the morning, you haven't eaten in 6, 8, 10 hours, okay? And when you wake up, that's when your stomach is empty and your system is depleted. That's called a catabolic state. And the opposite of catabolic is anabolic. And anabolic means building muscle. Catabolic is the opposite. It means muscle wasting or wasting muscle. So when you wake up in the morning, you're in a position to burn muscle. And you don't want to go try to start your car on an empty tank of gas. Does that make sense? You don't want to try to go run a treadmill or go work out on an empty belly. You're setting yourself up for muscle loss. Okay? Now, not only are you in a caloric deficit, but you're going to drive the deficit even deeper. So by the end of the day, what's going to happen is you're going to have horrible cravings. You're going to snack on little cookies and crackers. Okay, and by then, if that doesn't help or work, then you're just going to have an all-out binge and just eat a bunch of pasta, a bunch of noodles, a bunch of frosting, a bunch of just bread and peanut butter or whatever, anything you can get your hands on. Because your blood sugar level is going to drop as the day goes on, and you're creating such a big deficit. You're never gonna replenish the deficit during the day. Does that make sense? And your hunger is dictated by your blood sugar levels. Okay, problem number 2. Fasted cardio burns muscle. That's a big problem. And just same thing I just went over. When you have an empty fuel tank, your body burns muscle for fuel. This is why you'll see a lot of women who are skinny or thin in appearance, but they're soft. By soft, I mean they just have no muscle tone, no matter how much fasted cardio they do. And this is a great example. This is Lucy. She's in her late 40s, has 3 daughters. And this is, she loved to run. She was running, wake up in the morning, roll out of bed, run, whatever. And, she was thin. She was slim. She was fit. Well, 3 months later, she looked like this. Now, we cut out all of her running and we put her on, we reduced her gym time and gave her a ton more food. And you can really tell in her arms, and you can see her legs are smaller, but they're more muscular, if that makes sense. And her arms look totally different. And you're like, well, how does this happen? Well, we're getting to that. So she's a great example of how your body will change. And a lot of women, we've all seen them. They're thin, they're slim, and they think they're really healthy because they run 4 miles every morning. Well, do you want to? What are your goals? To run 10 miles one day? What are your goals? To run 20 miles? What are your goals? Just to run more and more? Or is your goal to get not necessarily contest ripped, although it might be, but to get a really lean, fit, aesthetic physique? What is your goal really? So hers would say, hey, I don't mind giving up the fasted cardio and really my running if it means getting really ultra fit with half the effort, or not even half the effort, with a third of the effort, and get to eat more food. I'm on board. Okay, so and you can see the results paid off. Problem number 3, metabolic damage occurs. Oh, how many times have we heard that? I've got metabolic damage. Well, it's not necessarily metabolic damage. This is what happens. And I wrote a great article on this called Running and Spinning Backwards. It's posted in my on the website, and it goes into a lot more detail. But in a nutshell, your body becomes extremely efficient with aerobic exercise. And the more of it you do, the more efficient your body gets. Now, you're thinking efficient must mean better at burning. No. Your body doesn't gauge efficiency off fat loss. Humans have been around a long time, and one of the reasons for that is the body is very efficient at survival. So your body gauges efficiency by survival and fat storage. And one of the reasons humans have been around for so long is because the human body strives to store body fat. It wants to store body fat. And when you store body fat, what happens is it ensures your survival is longer. So in ancient times or whenever, when different tribes of people had to go around and move around from one part of the country to, or not country, but area or whatever. But my point is that the human body, don't mistake metabolic damage for metabolic efficiency. And that's why I like to call it the metabolic myth. But the whole point is that this is the take-home point from problem number 3, is that your body is so overly efficient cardiovascularly, is so cardiovascularly efficient. That's a good way to put it. That you're really not going to get much of an effect out of it as far as fat burning. And that's why you got to just back off completely. And the worst thing you can do is the fasted cardio, because then that has an even more profound effect for the previous 2 reasons. So here's a solution to the hunger issue and the lower blood sugar deficit issue that was problem number 1. Well, here's a solution. The first thing you should do when you wake up is drink some water and eat your first meal. Guys, I'm telling you, the best tools to crank up your metabolism are healthy food and water. Not coffee, not weights, not cardio, not protein bar, and definitely not a fat burner pill. When you wake up, drink water, and then eat your meal. I don't care if it's a glass of water, a sip of water, get some water in you as you're eating and while you're heating up your food. Start drink some water and eat. You don't have to drink a gallon. You don't have to drink 3 glasses. Just get something in you. Drink a sip of water, a gulp of water, and start eating. Do that, and it will speed up your metabolism. And you'll be balanced the whole day. You won't be in a deficit. You'll be balanced. You want balance. The deficit will take care of itself if the nutrition is on point. Solution 2, always do lifting and cardio on separate days. Because what people are going to say is, well, if I don't do fasted cardio, I won't have time. I won't have time to do cardio. Well, that's because you should have a day only for it. And the reason people don't have time is because they're lifting weights in the afternoon after work or whenever. And they're not, well, that's why you do it on a separate day. But people don't do that. What people or your typical know-it-alls do is they'll do them on the same days. Okay, not only will they do them on the same days, they'll do them back to back. So not only will they do their Stairmaster or their spinning class before they lift weights, they'll do the spinning class fasted, then go and lift weights. And that's what I call, when you get all 3 of them wrong, that's what I call the terrible trifecta. And we can laugh about it, but we've seen them that are in the gym 5, sometimes 6 mornings a week, grinding out Stairmaster, fasted. Some of them don't even drink water first. They get in there, they grind it out. They might have a power bar afterwards or whatever, Gatorade, and then they'll do the weights. And 2.5, 3 hours later, the deficit they've created. Then they'll go have a cereal bar or a protein shake, and the deficit is so great. They've created such a huge deficit in their blood sugar level and their energy balance. They'll never have it replenished by the end of the day. And people say, well, that's a good thing, right? That's how you burn fat. No, that's how you create severe cravings and hunger. Your deficit should be just an eyelash below from a caloric standpoint. That's why I hate the whole calorie thing. But from an energy balance, you can create an energy balance by eating a ton of healthy food. That even by eating maintenance calories. That's a different webinar for a different day. But the point of the matter is that you see how badly some people can screw it up. Now, here's a solution 3, which matches up with the whole fake metabolic damage cardio efficiency. So eating the right foods, well, you got to focus on food for fat loss, not the scale. Don't get caught up in the scale. Don't get caught up in, and what's the first thing people do when they want to lose weight? They exercise. They go to the gym first thing in the morning and start doing the treadmill. That's the first thing people do. People do not fix their diet. Well, people don't know how to fix their diet, but people don't attempt to eat nutritious and healthy 80% of the time. This is what they do. They get up and they immediately overload exercise. And number 2, they just cut out the sweets. They cut out cake. They cut out ice cream. And then they just try to eat really bland and plain, chicken breast, rice, whatever. But the priority is always more exercise. I'm the opposite. I say, well, what you want to do is remove the exercise and put your total focus on eating the right food right when you wake up. Food is your number 1 tool to speed up your metabolism. Food is your number 1 tool to, I'm going to say it, burn calories. And eating calories can burn calories if it's done correctly. I have all the social proof in the world to prove it. Now, we're going to pause. Don't go crazy. I'm going to minimize the screen. And I want you to tell me what was the most helpful information you just learned. I'm right here. Don't panic. I'm going to open this back up. I'm going to run the poll. Tell me what was the most important information. Let me get this going here. Bear with me. Polls. Okay. So think about this. Go. All right. Your 3 options. What was the most helpful info you just learned? Was it the right amount of the right foods can speed up your metabolic rate more than cardio? Or was it fasted cardio can cause metabolic damage? Or was it fasted cardio can lead to severe cravings? Because these are all very important. And if you only know 2 of these but not all 3, then you're still done. It'll still cripple you. So take a second, type this in, and we'll jump back on. Got some good info here. Good job, guys. Let's roll with this. Bear with me. We're right back on here. We're coming back. Here we go. Let's roll. We are back up and we are ready to roll. Got it. Okay, good. Now, I'm ready to dive into the solution that I found that to tie it all together and literally skyrocket your fat loss success. But first, we got to talk about how we're going to put this all together. How are we going to put the four corners together? Look at the four corners up here. Let's start with the green. The power of your first and really every meal to speed up your metabolism. You got to have that in place. All right. The red. No matter what happened the last meal, you can always eat the next meal like it's the most important meal of your life. The blue piece, cardio and weights on separate days. We went over that. And fasted cardio can ruin even the best diet. Even if you follow there's people that have followed my program, and I can think of one woman in particular, and she still kept doing early morning fasted. Would get up and do spinning class, Stairmaster, then work out for 2 hours. She didn't get it. It didn't make sense. And it killed it. So too much fasted cardio can ruin the best diet. All right. And that's why I created the solution, the oscillating macronutrient eating pattern, supercharged to incinerate body fat off your body through nutrient partitioning and the thermogenic process of digestion. And we take it right back to here, guys. This is from day one, my pyramid of fat loss, nutrition, success. You got to take ownership. If you think you can do this on your own, done. Just get off right now. You're done. There's no help for you. All right. So once you take ownership and say, hey, I've got to have some help here. Number two, you got to obtain the right map. You got to obtain the right map, the right program. You'll never see Tony Robbins. We all know who he is. You'll never see. I love his quote. You'll never see a sunset running east, no matter how hard you run. And we all know the answer to that. So you got to be pointed in the right direction. Thirdly, read your program, meditate on your program, absorb your program, have faith, trust, and confidence in your program, follow, obey, and execute your program to precision, watch your program work, and then sustain your program. And it really should, which means renew your program, monthly renewal, get back in, keep it fresh, keep it going, reevaluate. And that's my job. You're not equipped to do that yet. That's my job to do. But if you don't do the first two foundational ones, you're done. So here's the first benefit. Now, I'm going to drill this point home. Repetition is the mother of skill. Eat more food to speed up your metabolism. Get out of the gym and get in the kitchen. Benefit number two, we're going to torch off that stubborn, pesky body fat, drop inches, skyrocket energy levels, less hunger but greater appetite. Whoa, time out. What's the difference? What does that mean? Hunger, appetite, that's the same thing. This is the difference. Hunger is dictated by your blood sugar levels. Okay? Blood sugar drops, hunger goes up. Blood sugar's up high, hunger decreases. All right? Appetite is more dictated off of your metabolic rate. We've seen some skinny people or really athletic, fit people that are just hungry all day. And they eat and eat and eat and eat. They have a strong appetite. Does that make sense? So appetite's a good thing. That means you got a fast metabolism. Now you can be hungry and have an appetite. They can go hand in hand. Here's another good example. We've seen somebody that wakes up first thing in the morning, I can't eat. They can't eat because they have a slug for a metabolism. And that, then that's a different topic for a different webinar. But benefit three, you're going to have unwavering confidence. You're not equipped. There's 0.00001% of the people out there in the fitness game trying to get healthy. They're not equipped to. You are not equipped to do this. And when you have someone that is, with the social proof, the deliverability to deliver on the service and the agenda, that's going to enable you to have unwavering confidence. You don't have to figure anything out. Removes all guesswork. Don't think, don't wonder, and don't assume. Just eat. All you got to do is eat. So let's run through this. The summary of benefits. Perfect combination of fat incinerating food, specifically customized for your body type, smart type, age, height, weight, body fat percentage, training history, gender, disease, digestive issues, hand and glove support,